Welcome back to our conversation with Boston Mayor Marty Walsh. So, Mayor, I heard James Carville, the old Clinton consultant, on TV the other night saying he thought the Democratic primaries have been a disaster for your party, with candidates moving too far left, spending too much time talking about things that don't connect with the working class voters they're going to need to prevail in the fall. Do you agree with that?
I do, and this might get me in trouble. And I watched the President's State of the Union the other night as well, and I left there with this feeling of concern. I think that, you know, in our party, we're a party made up of different opinions and different ideas, and we need to come together at the end of the day. And when you have people saying that, you know, Joe Biden's not in my party, or I don't agree with Elizabeth Warren, at the end of the day, well, you have to put aside your differences. We're seeing a president that's completely tearing our country apart. He's taking credit for things that President Obama started. He's telling he's not being truthful to the American people, and here we have our own party on our own side cutting each other up. That's not who we are. When this presidential campaign started, everyone has a right to run, but I talked to Tom Perez as well, saying that we have too many candidates. We need to somehow limit the candidates and have a real honest discussion about how we move America forward. And you know, we do have time to get it back on track, but I'll tell you, the Iowa caucuses didn't help. The Democratic Party in Iowa didn't help us with that either. With the disaster there, we still don't have I don't think we still have a winner. There's still percentage of the vote out there. Democrats need to rally and get things back together and move forward.
So who are you endorsing?
Nobody right now.
Well, when will you endorse?
We'll see. I mean, listen, I'm watching this race, and you know, I'm not necessarily looking at a front runner. I want to make sure we win the election in November. For me, that's the ultimate, most important thing we can do. Can
the party win in November with Bernie Sanders at the top of the ticket?
I'm not sure. I think if Bernie Sanders is the nominee, then we all have to rally around Bernie Sanders, whether you like him or not. I personally have problems with Bernie because he was a Democrat, switched to an independent for the last 3 years, now back as Democrat. But if he's our nominee, we have to work to get him elected president.
Is that your biggest objection to him, party loyalty?
No, there's some other things politically, policy.
Well, for instance,
I'm not going to get into it here on TV, but there's policy stuff, and I think that it's easy to, if you're going to, again, the mainstream voters are watching. When you make the other night at my State of the City, when I talked about a $500 million investment in housing, I explained how I'm going to get there, and I talked about $100 million investment from the city, 100 plus from selling a garage, and 300 basically with a transfer tax. I made it very clear, if I don't get the transfer tax, that investment won't be $500 million. You can't stand on a stage all day long and talk about all the great things you're going to do and not have a plan to pay for them. American people are smarter than that. Trump's already taken us into deficit spending. He's already built the credit of the country is going. He's already mortgaged the future of the country away. People aren't seeing that right now, that we're going to have to pay down that debt that Trump is doing using a credit card instead of paying cash. And we need to make sure we're smarter fiscally moving forward.
Mayor, always good to talk with you. Good luck. Thanks for coming by.
Thanks, Sean.
Let's talk again soon. Boston Mayor Marty Walsh.